everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Christina Previtt. I'm one of the lead faculty in the Jerry PT division of the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you've been following the Institute or ICE for a while, you know that this company moves fast and there is always a ton going on. So I'm super excited. All of our faculty just got back from the PT on Ice sampler. And the ICE sampler is always a great way to get a bit of a teaser into some of the stuff that the different faculty members are working on. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to go this year because I am on flight restrictions because I am 35 and a half weeks pregnant, if you guys have been following me online. And one of the things that people often don't know about me is that because I'm a weightlifter, I work with a lot of female athletes, and our clinic at Stave Off has linked with the high-risk OBGYNs over at our local hospital, and we run exercise programs for women who are trying to navigate the pregnant and postpartum journey and trying to stay active. So when I got pregnant myself, being a national level weightlifter, I didn't want to stop training. I wanted to try and navigate this time in my life where I was a pregnant athlete safely. Thankfully, being a physical therapist, I've worked with a lot of pregnant women and have a good amount of background information. But of course, being the nerdy academic that I am, I started looking into a lot of the literature and realized that there is a huge gap. So, because of that, ICE is very pleased to announce that we are going to be launching the Clinical Management of the Fitness Athlete, the Pregnant and Postpartum Athlete course. In the middle of June. It is launching June 16th, and I am going to be the lead faculty on that course. The idea behind this course is not to teach an internal pelvic floor course. It is to teach the outpatient orthopedic physical therapist who is inevitably working with women through pregnancy and the postpartum period how to navigate this space. So how can we best serve these athletes as they are trying to navigate this journey, return to activity after baby, try and continue with activity during baby. And I am super excited. I am going to be co-teaching this with an assistant faculty, Kelsey Valentine, who is an internal pelvic floor physiotherapist. So she's going to give you guys some exposure to the world of internal pelvic floor, talk about when we need to refer to internal pelvic floor, but what can we do as non-internal pelvic floor physiotherapists. To be honest, I don't want to be an internal pelvic floor physiotherapist. That is her wheelhouse. How do we still help these women? Because oftentimes the biggest thing is that we don't know what's happening during pregnancy. We don't know the proper questions to ask. We don't know some of these orthopedic tests that actually have good reliability and validity to see what is going on as a result of pregnancy. For example, pelvic girdle pain or SI dysfunction, all those type of things that are often seen in an orthopedic clinic, but are very much influenced by where a woman is in her pregnant and postpartum journey. So I am super excited to be launching this course. The response from just the ICE circle that we have brought this out has been amazing. We have already opened up our second cohort. So the first cohort is almost sold out, if not already sold out. And so that one starts June 16th. Our second cohort is starting September 9th. It's going to be an 8-week online course where we're going to do a variety of lectures and lab going from pregnant physiology, exercise considerations for pregnancy, labor and delivery, the fourth trimester, which is the early postpartum period, and then return to endurance and sport-based activities, endurance and strength-based activities to try and give you guys as orthopedic therapists as much knowledge as you can have to help navigate this space with your clients. So I'm super excited. If you guys have any questions about the course, feel free to drop a comment below because we are super excited about this. In the next couple of days, you'll meet Kelsey. She'll be coming on probably the Fitness Athlete Friday just to give a little bit of an introduction and talk a little bit about the pregnant and postpartum section of the fitness athlete division that is going to be becoming a bigger part of the ICE family. Okay, now I'm going to switch gears. So I have the weirdest mix because I work with a lot of pregnant and postpartum women, but I'm also involved in the geriatrics side of things. And so super excited about the course. Now I'm going to flip to the modern management stuff. So we are halfway through our online cohort for the modern management of the older adult. I was actually just in Toronto, Ontario, speaking to inpatient and outpatient physical therapists at Providence Care around how we can appropriately load, dose, and manage some of our geriatric clients in an inpatient acute setting and transitioning to outpatient hospital setting. And it was just such a great time. And whenever we do these courses, one of the things that comes up is, thankfully, when we're working in geriatrics, we get to see people who are physical therapists in a wide variety of settings. So oftentimes we'll do a course and in the same room, we'll have physical therapists from hospital setting, private practice, home health, skilled nursing, et cetera, which is amazing because it really facilitates learning and it sees where we are seeing individuals across the continuum of their life. Where do we see them is going to be very contingent on obviously workplace. But it's also going to dictate how we treat these older adults. And here's what I mean. So a perfect example is balance assessment. So probably the gold standard balance outcome measure is the Berg balance. And it's been well validated in a variety of populations, from the community dwelling older adult to individuals with stroke and Parkinson's, those type of things. And so therefore it is very heavily utilized in a lot of settings that see a primarily geriatric population. Here's the problem. For me in outpatient, when I am seeing some of my older clients, they ceiling out the Berg, no problem. You know, especially because the highest order balance exercise is a single leg stand. And for some of my older clients, that's where I start. So doing the Berg balance for me isn't necessarily the most appropriate measure because it's not going to give me any information. And so when I'm thinking about what outcome measures I'm using in the clinic, I want to make sure obviously that they're well validated in the population that I'm working with. So primarily the community dwelling older adult. But I also want to make sure that I'm gleaning some sort of insight and have some sort of information that is going to guide my treatment. And so that is when I started looking for other outcome measures that may more appropriately help me for some of my individuals who do have relatively good static balance, so and low level dynamic balance. So I'm not really worried about, you know, standing on one leg or doing transfers from bed to chair, for example, but are still starting to experience falls in more higher order things. The other thing that I was thinking about with balance is that oftentimes we don't see a fall happen as a result of losing your balance in some sort of like pivot transfer when I'm in outpatient. What's happening is sometimes it's a busy crowd. My clients are rushing. They're trying to do multiple things at once. They have somebody talking to them. They're holding on to something. Cognitive loading is high and they stumble over their feet, or they misjudge a step and they fall, or they're on ice and there's some sort of environmental consideration that's coming into play that is leading to that fall. And so how can I appropriately assess so that I can actually be working on some of those things like balance training with increased cognitive demand, dual tasking, all those type of things in the clinic? And so that's when I started to look for some of the balance outcome measures, and I found the mini best. And so for me as an outpatient therapist, the mini best is probably one of the better tools that I have seen in order to assess and break down different aspects of balance. And I'm going to go over a little bit about it today. The nice thing is that if you Google mini best test, one of the first things that'll pop up is a PDF with the standard protocol. And the nice thing about that is that it's free for therapists to use. It literally has the instructions. Like for the first exercise, it's a sit to stand, and it says, cross your arms across your chest. Try not to use your hands unless you must. Don't let your legs lean against the back of the chair when you stand. Please stand up. It's scripted. And then you have different measuring scales. So unable to perform can, but they have to use their hands, or normal can stand and stabilize independently without use of hands. So the nice thing about the mini best test is that it goes through different aspects of balance. So I have it behind me to make sure that I say everything correctly. But it has 4 subscales. It has anticipatory, so starting to just work on low grade static and dynamic balance. So sit to stands, rising on toes, and standing on one leg. It has reactive postural control. And so we do this at our Modern Management Live course. And this is always a really, really insightful subscale, because it's essentially like a trust exercise. So when you lean back and you trust that person is going to hold you, well, you're getting individuals to lean to the edge of their center of mass, so that, because we know that balance is keeping your center of mass over your base of support. So they're leaning, out just to the outside of their base of support, and you are letting go. And the idea with this is, how are they able to react to perturbations in balance? And it's really, really insightful to see how people recover, and if there is a certain plane that they recover in. So there is a forward, backward, and lateral component to this subscale. And when I see 99% of the time, they're completely fine forward. They're relatively okay backwards, but that side to side, that lateral correction, is oftentimes where falls happen, and is one of the things that we are using a subscale for. So from that subscale, that's a reaction control. So if I see something being flagged there in that subscale, I'll start working there. Another one, the third subscale, there's 4, is sensory orientation. So it's talking about how we can maintain our balance with eyes open, with eyes closed, and with eyes closed in different types of situations. So you start standing eyes open. You're going to go standing eyes closed on a foam surface. So you're getting a little bit more of that proprioceptive intensity from your feet, trying to keep yourself balanced, that joint position sense. And then you're also removing one of the 3 systems that are impacting your balance. So we know that we have proprioception, we have vestibular, and we have vision. And so proprioception is being challenged, vision is being removed, and vestibular is still being intact. And so again, same way where we're challenging people on a higher order to try and see how they do in that type of environment. The next subscale, the last one, is a dynamic gait subscale. And so you're trying to get people to mimic some of the situations in the community in which they would experience some sort of disruption or cognitive loading that would lead them to fall. So the first one in that subscale is a change in gait speed. So you get individuals to walk, and when you say fast, you want them to hasten their gait speed. And when you say slow, you want them to slow down. So it's that change in speed that sometimes when we're trying to rush is when we can start falling over our feet, especially as we get a little bit older. And so you're testing that. Then we do walking with changes in orientation, so head turns. So you're asking individuals to turn their heads left and right and see if they're still able to maintain their balance and appropriate gait speed. This would be akin to somebody who is walking and talking to someone and they have to change their or even if they have, I guess, if there was hearing loss, that would be exacerbated even more, but they're turning to look at the person that they're talking to. Then they do walking with pivot turns and stepping over obstacles, which we know for especially the community dwelling older adult, these are kind of those triggers that can lead to falls when falls happen in the community. The last thing is a timed up and go, very commonly used, except that they're looking at the difference between a timed up and go task and a timed up and go task with a cognitive demand. And that's what I love. So it's not only looking at, can you get up from a chair, go 3 meters, turn around, come back? It's, can you get up from a chair, also do a dual task, which is usually getting people to count backwards from a certain number, and you're comparing the times. And the discrepancy between the tug and the dual tasking tug are going to be the what am I trying to say? What the scoring criteria is based on. Yes, I'm starting to lose my words. So those type of things that are coming into play, that cognitive demand and that dual tasking is, again, one of those things that we see as a higher order issue with balance that is going to impact our clients' ability to stay upright and what we need to be considering when we're looking at falls prevention. And so if you guys have never used the mini best, I encourage you to try it. Try it on each other. When we do the modern management live course and we do the reactionary control, the postural control, where we're getting people to lean outside of their base of support, the fear component really closely brings home the fear of falling that some of our older clients can be experiencing. And I think it's a really great learning experience for the therapist to feel that shot of adrenaline happen in our chest as we're letting ourselves get into a position where we could risk falling and trying to react to that, because that can sometimes be our older clients' trip to the grocery store. So it's a great learning experience. The tool is fantastic. It is very well validated. Reliability, validity studies have been done. And it just shows that, there's different levels of balance that we can be using. And oftentimes where my clients struggle on the subscales is where their balance exercise programs start. All right. That is it for me today. If you have any questions about the fitness athlete, pregnant and postpartum athlete course that is going to be starting, please shoot a comment below. Please tag me. I'm going to be trying to look over the next several days at this podcast to see if there's any other questions. You'll be seeing social media blasted with some of the graphics around this course. If you have any questions about the modern management of the older adult course, either the live or the online, I am also your girl. So you're going to see me as a jack of two trades, the pregnant and postpartum athlete, as well as the geriatric division. I'm going to be like Sarah Heron, who can flip from femoral acetabular impingement into business very quickly and seamlessly. I'm going to have to learn from her. And so if you guys have any other questions, please let me know. If you're in the Asheville area, our next live course is in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm super, super, super excited. It's going to be the first course that I'm teaching not pregnant. And our next cohort for the Modern Management online course, if you are not in Asheville, is June 9th. And we already have people signing up for that course, which is super, super exciting. It is always, always a great time. We are always modifying, changing, engaging, keeping up with the literature, and you guys will always have access to that information. So have a wonderful Wednesday. I am off to another OB appointment, getting this far into your pregnancy. They see me a lot. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.